Coming up tonight on YCN News, a new law in the Granite State enforces hands-free driving. Former Wilmette Police Chief David White is honored after he died Friday. And Vermont's Attorney General position may be contested by a familiar candidate. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN News, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening. It's Monday, June 22nd. I'm Kurt Weedy, and welcome to YCN News. Well, a week from this Wednesday, a new law goes into effect throughout New Hampshire that will change how you drive. Don't pick up that cell phone, GPS, iPad, tablet, iPod, or even press a key on a laptop within reach of your arm or hand while behind the wheel. And even if you're stopped in traffic for a red light or stop sign, don't touch that button or key. For drivers under age 18, the law is even stricter. Claremont Police Chief Alex Scott told YCN News about House Bill 1360, passed in 2014 by state lawmakers.
The important thing to remember is starting July 1st, 2015, you can no longer use handheld electronic devices while driving. So that means cell phones, GPS units, and similar items have to be set up in a hands-free system using Bluetooth or some other aftermarket items so that it's completely hands-free. Another important thing to point out is for those under the age of 18, there is no use of handheld electronic devices, regardless of if they are Bluetooth enabled or in a hands-free environment. A first offense penalty is a $100 fine. On the second offense, that bumps up to $250. And then the third offense within 2 years is a $500 fine. And all of the information that I've been sharing with you is available at www.handsfreenh.com.
Now, to learn more about the law, you can check out the website noted by Chief Scott, handsfreenh.com. The New London, New Hampshire man charged by police with allegedly assaulting and robbing a Georges Mills businessman on June 15th remains held on $100,000 cash bail, WNTK Radio reports. Today in Claremont District Court, a probable cause hearing for suspect Brandon Green was held. The victim, former state representative Speck Bowers, suffered facial injuries and did not require hospitalization. Residents of Wilmette and others in our region will have an opportunity to honor the life of recently retired Police Chief David White. Former Chief White died at his home on Friday at the age of 55. Funeral arrangements are being handled by Chadwick Funeral Service in New London, and there are no calling hours. A memorial service will be held this Saturday, June 27th at 10 a.m. at the First Baptist Church in New London at 461 Main Street. The burial will be held in private. To honor Chief White's legacy of service to the people and the community he served, an online guest book is set up at chadwickfuneralservice.com. Memorial contributions may be made to the Wilmette Community Association, whose address is shown on the screen below. A Vermont County attorney who ran almost 4 years ago against incumbent Attorney General William Sorrell for the AG seat will see if the second time turns out a little bit differently. Chittenden County Attorney T.J. Donovan told fellow Democrats at Friday night's party awards dinner that he will run for Attorney General in 2016. Donovan spoke at the Democratic Party's annual David Curtis Awards dinner, alternative news publication 7 Days reports. In 2012, Donovan lost to Sorrell by 714 votes. Recently, Sorrell has come under fire for campaign issues. Coming up on YCN News, the laboratories at Vermont Technical College are getting some upgrades. Newport, New Hampshire names its new town manager, and you can be the next member of the Parks and Recreation Department in Hartford, Vermont. More news, sports, and the early week forecast when YCN News returns.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Kurt Weedy. Governor Peter Shumlin has announced today that Vermont Technical College in Randolph and Williston, Vermont will be the centerpiece of 2 new rural economic developments. According to a press release today by the governor's office, The advancements will bring around 45 jobs to the area and will prepare students for advanced manufacturing jobs. Governor Shumlin highlighted these two projects with the help of Vermont Technical College and Vermont State College officials, as well as members of Vermont's government. The first two of these projects will install the new Vermont Agricultural and Environmental Lab on the Vermont Tech campus, after the previous building had been destroyed by Tropical Storm Irene during the flooding. The second development will bring around $1 million in state money to upgrade the laboratories at the Vermont Technical College campuses to give students more hands-on experiences and prepare them for future employment. An additional $500,000 may be appropriated by the state in 2017 if the college can match that amount through private donations. Now to an update on a story we brought you last week. Newport, New Hampshire has named its next town manager. Swansea Town Administrator Shane O'Keefe was announced as the new town manager by outgoing manager Paul Brown on Friday. O'Keefe has experience as town administrator in Swansea, New Hampshire, a position he has held for the past 3 years. Paul Brown said that the town reviewed 41 total applications through the position through a series of processes narrowed down the race to O'Keefe and one other finalist. O'Keefe will assume his position and begin his duties on July 27th. Now, speaking of town government positions, Hartford, Vermont is looking to fill one open slot in its Parks and Recreation Department. The department seeks a Recreation Commission member, which is recognized by the National Commission for Accreditation of Park and Recreation Agencies. The Hartford Commission consults with the Director of Parks and Recreation in any matter in the town that involves the department and plans long-term goals to fulfill the needs of the community. Does this sound like something you're interested in? You can pick up an application from the town manager's office in the Hartford Municipal Building in White River Junction. For more details, contact Department Director Tad Nunez at 802-295-5036 or at tnunez@hartfordvt.org. And finally, who doesn't love a good Independence Day celebration? July 4th is fast approaching, and YCN is your source for a list of all the parades and fireworks displays in our region. Stay tuned for the next 2 weeks, both on air and online, leading up to the holiday for your updates on where and when you can catch some spectacular events on July 4th weekend. Well, after the break on YCN News, Kearsarge Chronicle's Lynn Solomon spoke with Barbara Sullivan of Project Sunapee and how her group brings the community together. We'll have that conversation when YCN News continues.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Mike Pizzone. Well, it got a little wet out there for Father's Day, but the sun was back out in full force today, and it looks like we'll be seeing a lot more in the coming days. Skies will remain partly cloudy as we head into the evening, with winds of up to 5 miles per hour and temperatures dropping to about 58 degrees. We may also see some areas of patchy fog after about 8 p.m., so be sure to use caution if you're going to be out on the roads. Things will start off bright enough tomorrow with temperatures climbing back up into the high 70s, but there's a 70% chance of severe thunderstorms between about 2 and 4 p.m. Things should stabilize by sunset with temperatures falling to a nice comfortable 57 degrees. Wednesday looks to be the best day so far in the forecast, with bright sunny skies and a high of 75 during the day before bottoming out about 56 Wednesday evening. Now let's take a look at our community calendar to see what's happening in the area. The Lake Sunapee Region VNA and Hospice will host a free blood pressure and glucose clinic tomorrow from 9 a.m. to noon at their office on Newport Road in New London, New Hampshire. Call the number on the screen for more information. A seniors game night will be held tomorrow from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Claremont Senior Center off Maple Avenue in Claremont, New Hampshire. The event is for anyone ages 50 or older, whether they're a member of the Senior Center or not. Call the number on the screen to find out more. A blood drive for the American Red Cross will be held Wednesday from 11:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. at the Springfield Elks Club on Park Street in Springfield, Vermont. Donors must be at least 17 years old, in good health, and have 2 forms of identification. Visit redcrossblood.org to find out more. Yesterday may have marked the first official day of summer, but if you've driven anywhere around Lake Sunapee recently, you probably have noticed at least one of those blue signs declaring today the first day of the Lake Sunapee Rowing Club's summer session. The club was created back in 2007 by co-founders Brenda Belanger and Mary Lee Verdi with the idea of providing rowing opportunities to people of all ages and abilities who live near the lake. Now, 8 years later, The club has built a devout following of members and supporters thanks to its popular Learn to Row programs, recreational programs, and for those who like to keep score, competitive programs that compete in a 15-meet regatta schedule. The summer session for all programs begin today, with both the morning and evening sessions of sweeps and sculls rowing out of the George's Mills boat launch, and an adaptive program for anybody with disabilities rowing Wednesday nights from the Sunapee State Park beach. Sessions last throughout the summer, and members are encouraged to attend each outing, though there are opportunities to share a membership if need be. Belanger called rowing a dynamic, challenging, and rewarding sport that gets you fit, strong, and engaged with other people who share your passion. And if nothing else, it's also a great way to enjoy the views and wildlife of Lake Sunapee. The club also accepts donations for those who want to support its mission but aren't interested in rowing, which Belanger said would go a long way in helping the club meet its goal of one day owning a boathouse. To find out more about the Lake Sunapee Rowing Club, or to see if room is still available for this summer session, visit the website on the screen. That does it for YCN Sports. I'm Mike Pizzone.
Thanks, Mike. Tomorrow he will have the first in a multi-part series where we highlight the signature hole of local golf courses, all starting with Eastman Golf Links in Grantham, New Hampshire. Coming up next, Capital Connections host John O'Connor sat down with Colonel Clint Granger a second time. We'll have part one of that second conversation when YCN News continues.
The YCN News continues in a moment.